it's time for our panel discussion. So I'd love to welcome our 4 panelists here today. So we have Shannon Wilson, Jane Gibson, Norma Torado, and Dr. Melinda Johnson. Oh, no, and just for your records, these are all mic stages.
All right, so Allie and I will be moderating today's panel. So we have prepared a few questions for our panelists, and we'll also leave some time at the end for any audience questions. So let's get started by learning a little bit more about each of you. So if we could go through and do some introductions, share who you are, a little bit about your role, how long you've been with Spectrum, and something that you enjoy outside of work. So we'll go ahead and actually start with Norma. Norma is our business sponsor, so she will be joining the efforts of WISH as well. So.
Yes, I'm really excited to be here. Norma Torado. I'm Senior Vice President of Human Resources. I'm the newest addition to the HR team, and I come to you via integration. Lakeland Health joined Spectrum Health back in October of this year. I was involved with that integration since probably February of last year, so I've gotten to know a lot of people here at Spectrum. Really excited to be part of this organization. Now I have not just responsibility for some departments at Lakeland, but I will also have responsibility for some of the functions, the HR functions here in Grand Rapids. So I get to come here about once a week, and I'm having a ball. In my personal life, I am a mother of 3 grown adult children with no grandchildren. Do you have any single ladies here? I'm not beyond, setting up my boys with some really cute, smart women. And I have a daughter also. She's an actor. I'm married to my husband of 29 years, and originally from San Juan, Puerto Rico. So I go and I travel to San Juan often. So that's it for now.
Sure. My name is Jane Gibson. I'm a director in information services. I'm going to talk a little bit about some other roles that I have. One is that I am a certified executive coach. I pursued that a couple of years ago. It's been life-changing for me. I incorporated a lot in my daily work and outside as well. I am the mother of 2 amazing young women, 19 and 21, who came to our family through adoption as infants from China, and they have definitely improved my life and made me a better human. I'm legally married to my wife of 25 years. We legally got married 6 years ago, and very proud of that. Significant accomplishment of 25 years together. We got married in a snowstorm at Rockefeller Center with some of our closest friends. One who got certified as a pastor online, so super official. But I do have a license, just as a backup. I serve on multiple community boards, and I've been with the organization for just past my 20-year mark in February. My side hustle, my love is cycling. I actually just did a bucket list cycle tour of the 5 boroughs of New York in 50-degree weather and pouring rain. So the weather wasn't great, but it was a really cool experience. Me and 28,000 of my closest friends on bicycles. It was great.
My name is Melinda Johnson. I am an OBGYN, and my current role is the Department Chief for Women's Health, the clinical service line here, which has been coming up on 2 years in my role. So I came to Spectrum actually as a resident physician in 1997, so I've been here a while. I have played a lot of different roles along the way, but right now it is such a privilege to lead women's health here with an extraordinary group of providers who do a lot of great work to take care of women in our community. So I'm really excited about the work that is being done. For fun, at this time of year, I think about digging in the dirt. I have a rose garden, and that's something that I really love to do. I love weeding, and it connects me to, I've inherited some roses from some special people that are no longer here, and I love digging in the dirt and thinking about them and being close to that. So I'm also a mother of 3. I have boy-girl twins that are 18, and my littlest is 14, and my husband is a physician, so a full life. So.
And hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Wilson. I am the director of Outreach and Quality with Priority Health. I've been with the system for a little over 5 months, so fairly new. I have plenty of weeds if you like. I say that because I don't get outside much because I too have children. I have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old, and for all those moms in the rooms, you know, with the 2-year-old, life is very busy and eventful and fun. Outside of my day job, I teach here at MSU, so I get to use this building quite a bit. And then also from time to time at GVSU. And then I too have a master's from U of M, but I got my undergrad from Michigan State. And so I am the most green and white person you will ever meet. And any Saturday in the fall, you can find me. If I'm not home in green and white watching a game on TV, I am there in person, and I probably enjoyed a really good tailgate.
Thank you. So we don't, there's no structure for response here, so feel free to just jump in however that moves you. So if you want to go down the line, that would be great too. I don't think we addressed that. So we'd like to talk about our workplaces. In your opinion, where do you see Spectrum Health supporting women very well, and then where do you see opportunities for improvement?
Well, we have a female CEO, right? That's a good start. Yeah, it's a great start. I mean, I can't tell you, I feel a little bit inadequate in answering that question because I haven't been here long enough. Given the statistic that you just showed, there must be things that we're doing right. We have really, people are mentored. So women get mentored all the time, a lot of times by men. But what we don't have oftentimes is sponsors. That's the person sitting at the leadership table saying, have you thought about this person for that job? So as we think about developing a program for women to advance in the organization, we really have to activate the concept of sponsorship. So we're not just mentoring and helping people learn how to be a leader, how to be an executive, but we have people fighting for the women who are ready to move into that next level position. And great statistics, but 80% of women in the healthcare industry, right? What's the percent of CEOs? 17%. And that number has not increased in the last 20 years. As a matter of fact, it's gone down. So there's work that we need to do.
I'll take it. I think we have some amazing pockets of excellence. I think there's always opportunities. I will say that when I go represent IT in the community, we are rocking it because IT statistically has very low female participation, and I'm very proud to share the percent of women in our IS shop is 37%, and women in leadership is 37%. So that to me says a lot. We are kind of the heroes of the IT community in this arena because nobody has that many women in IT. So now I can tell you why we do, because we hire people from the clinical space and we value that clinical background tremendously for the work we do it should be obvious to you why we would value that. So I'm super proud of that. And we bring in a lot of interns into IT that are female. So they're not even coming from the clinical backgrounds. And we are also extremely intentional in IT specifically about building a K-16 pipeline. And we work on that every day. I speak a lot at JA events and other things, encouraging young girls to pursue STEM careers. So that, I think, is some of the stuff that we're doing really, really well.
I would agree on both fronts, and especially just the leadership. I feel so proud to be part of an organization that has so many tremendous female leaders. In my space as a physician and leading women's health, I'm the first female to lead this in this role, and I do think about physicians and APP's leadership. In general, I find that most of the female leaders tend to be somewhat reluctant. A lot of them have that sort of second or third shift at home. When they go home, they're trying to balance career and family in a way that may be different than men, let's face it, whether that's actual work or there's a mother guilt piece that comes into it. And so when leadership opportunities come up, it's, I think that there's not always a jump to do it. It's sort of a reluctance. It's, we say, I see talent in you, but then there's a discernment about, well, what do I have to sacrifice here? And I think it'd be great for a group like this to try to think outside of the box and get creative about what other ways can we support women so that they can say yes and they don't feel like they have to sacrifice, you know, bedtime or a special time with their family. They can actually maybe leverage a different resource or find some extra support or find some way that they can say yes and lean in where they're not feeling like there's such a sacrifice at home.
For me, I would say women in leadership is one of the reasons why I selected to come to Spectrum Health or Priority Health. From the outside looking in, I had known most of the women in leadership for a couple of years from my previous role and was very impressed by my president, who was Jill Budd, and Marty Lawley, who was one of my SVPs, and had just seen them work in many different areas and was really impressed by what they were able to accomplish. And then also when you talk to others in the community, what they say about our leadership, I think is really important, and how they view the experience from the outside looking in. Everything was very positive about them, and so that was one of the impetuses for me to go ahead and accept the job with Priority Health. I also think it's really important, as Dr. Johnson alluded to, for women to have space to be able to operate in the many hats that we have to wear. And so this opportunity, when it was presented to me, I asked a lot of questions because I do wear a mom hat, and that to me is my most important hat. And so it was important to me to find a position where I could be a great mom, but at the same time not compromise my intelligence or what I can contribute to the workspace, because I can get it all done. It just may not happen between 9 and 5. That's what I tell everybody. Yeah, I'll get it done. And you'll have it by your deadline. It may not happen between 9 and 5. And so the accommodation there and the understanding there is another thing that I just think makes this an absolutely phenomenal company to work for.
Thank you, guys. So as we've talked about, we are made up of nearly 80% women here at Spectrum Health, and we have a very diverse group of women here that have a variety of life experiences and have many different identities in addition to being a woman. So how does intersectionality play a role in the growth of our female employees working here at Spectrum Health, as well as the patients that we serve?
That's a tough one. I mean, it's not and it is at the same time. In our service line in women's health, we talk about wanting to partner with women to achieve their best life. And I think it's impossible to deny that is, that there's different challenges within that, depending on which population you're talking about. And of course, in women's health, I automatically go to my patient population. I work in the residency practice, which is a population of women who almost uniformly are disadvantaged, who face a lot of barriers with social determinants. There is a lot in obstetrics around women of color, having significant disparities in our clinical outcomes. And so it's front and center for us that there are populations that are completely disadvantaged, and it's beyond race and, well, gender for obstetrics obviously, but it's there's a lot of structural racism, there's a lot of barriers that people face that we are trying to solve for in ways that can help lift up this population. There are no easy answers, but I think we have to start by saying this is a problem. Let's think about our implicit bias. Let's think about how we can identify solutions to lift up this population.
I'm a big believer that the answers are in the room, and we employ over 30,000. I see 31, 32, 30, whatever the number is. We are the communities we serve. So if we are the communities we serve, there are answers in the room around some of the sticky issues that we work with every day. And I think really getting to a place of vulnerability and authenticity in telling our own stories, because I bet you we all have them, about what's working and what's not working. I know I have some, and it takes courage to share those. And but I think it would make us better if we all shared.
I think as women, I think we play many different roles. And, when I was a bit younger in my career, I was at a meeting much like this with a bunch of women. And I remember one of the people that I was talking with said to me, you don't have to do it all by the time you're 30. And I think that us women have a tendency to want to do it all and do it fast. And I have a sign next to my door that says, "I'm woman, I'm invincible, I'm tired." And I think we have to learn that we can try to do it all, but if we try to do it all, we're not going to do it all well. So there are different times in our lives where different things take priority. And one of the things that we have to know how to do better, and I just gave a talk about negotiating salaries. Probably Pam doesn't want me to teach that here. One of the things that we do as women is we don't look for skill sets in the other many things that we do to compare that to the things that we have to do as leaders in an organization. And when I coach women that are coming back into the workplace that have stayed home or they haven't been in full-time jobs, we have the tendency to downplay that experience and accept anything that they would offer us. Oh, we have a job, great, I don't care how much I'm paid. We have to learn how to value everything that we do, including some of the volunteer work that we do in our communities to help some of these other populations. So, we have to learn how to value ourselves, how to take more risks, and really appreciate everything that we contribute in the many different roles that we play.
And I just think, as I thought about this question, I just thought about the common features of the human spirit. And so I, like Dr. Johnson, I work mostly with, I solely support the Medicaid population, but when I'm working with my staff and we're having these conversations, my goals in life at my level are the same, many times goals that the people that we serve have as well. And so just because you're at different levels in the socioeconomic status does not mean that our overall human spirit, those things that make us want to get up every morning, whether it be your family or your faith, and all of those things stay the same, regardless of where you fall in that hierarchy. I shouldn't say hierarchy because that's a bad term, but where you fall in that mix. And so just, I think, always keeping those value points at the forefront of your mind allows you to see the common spirit that we share between any population. And so I think that that's one thing that allows me to grow my team, and then to, I think, help us grow our community.
So we're gonna get a little personal. We're wondering if you guys would share, when your life looks either in balance or out of balance, what are some signs that you see?
Go ahead.
I can start. I am not as productive, so I too am an A-type personality, and I like to judge my day based on how many things I get done, and I know that sounds the same, but I have my lists, and I like to check boxes, and I can tell when my life is out of whack because I'm not as productive as I'd like to be. I also have this built-in chaos meter called a husband, who reminds me every so often, like, these are your priorities, and this is how you're supposed to engage in those. And so I think just having someone, whoever it may be in your life, who can say, slow down, things are out of whack, I'm seeing you operate in a way that is not most efficient for you or better for him, it would be for us. Because when mommy's out of whack, I think the household is out of whack. And so that's how I know I'm not as productive.
I got a sleep app kind of like a year ago, and I have to say for me that's a barometer is literally I can track my sleep, and I know when I'm in the red versus the green. I think it really sleep impacts everything. So I think sometimes I look back on the week and I'll flip through and it'll say red, 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 red. And I'm like, yes, that's about right. But I think it gives me a metric that in something specific that I can focus on. Like, all right, I'm gonna work on being green. So.
I think some time ago for me, I discovered a new definition of work-life balance, and that is that there is no such thing as work-life balance, right? Sometimes your focus is in work, and sometimes your focus is at home, and so my definition of doing things well or having balance became, at any given time, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So if I'm supposed to be focused on work, I have the opportunity to do it, and if I'm supposed to be focused, like a couple weeks ago, I had to go take care of my mother for 2 weeks, and I tried to make an impression here at Spectrum, and I'm like, I gotta go to Puerto Rico for 2 weeks. It's not like going, to up north, They think if you're going to Puerto Rico, you're going on vacation, right? Well, I went to take care of my mother, and I worked while I was there, and it felt good to be able to take care of her, but also meet my obligations at work. I don't sleep very well if I don't feel like I'm where I need to be, and I eat Oreo cookies.
So I too have discovered that work-life balance is a myth for me personally. I really like to think about it as integration. I have one calendar. It has all my personal stuff on it, all my work stuff, because I can't tell the difference between when I'm working and when I'm lifing. They're all mixed together. What I can feel, however, is when I haven't put enough bucket filling activities versus bucket depleting activities. And that's when I notice. So I'm very intentional when I know I'm going to have a challenging week to bake in those hours to fill my energy bucket so that I can have more stamina, more resilience. So I don't do it perfectly every day, and I have some life challenges that prevent me from always living true to that. However, I really work hard at trying to build those into my own life. Nobody's going to do it for you. You got to do it for yourself.
Thank you, guys. Then we have our last question before we open it up to all of you guys. So if each of you, if you could give yourself career advice 10 years ago, what would it be?
I have have several bullets that
Start here.
I wish I would have. You are in control of you and only you. So I gave up controlling the universe a couple years ago because it wasn't working very well. The other thing is I have this huge internal voice that I'm not enough. I am enough. You are enough. And don't let yourself tell yourself anything else. You are enough. And don't sweat the small stuff. Pay attention to how you feel, for there's information in that for you. There's information in that for you. And be authentic. It takes courage to be authentic. I'm a huge Brene Brown fan, and authenticity, it takes courage to be authentic. And I spent several years in this organization as a gay female, 20, let's roll the clock back 20 years. I was not authentic. And it takes a hell of a lot of energy to not be authentic. So please be your authentic self. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. That's a Brene Brown quote. I'm going to read another one. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Be vulnerable. I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. When they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. I know that I'm in balance and I'm good when I'm being authentic and in relationship. So I wish somebody would have told me that 10 years ago. Would have saved a lot of heartache.
I would say 10 years ago, when I think about that, I was in private practice, just full-time clinical. And when I reflect on that, when I had an opportunity to change course, I remember doing my pros and cons list and thinking about, well, trying to time everything out to have it be perfect. And I guess the advice I would give is that there is no perfect opportunity. Don't wait for the perfect. There's always going to be something wrong with whatever the next opportunity is for you. So don't pass it up, lean in. The current state isn't going to be perfect either, because the current state is going to shift. And so you're really choosing, if you come across an opportunity and you're thinking about making a leap of faith, I think you have to realize that it's, take the leap, I guess. It's going to be great because you can make it great.
So I have two. One would be to take time to enjoy the process. And so, again, I like to achieve things. And so that means I'm usually setting goals and trying to hurry up and achieve them. And I think you miss a lot of the learning when you don't take time to enjoy the process. And so that was something that it may have taken me a decade to learn, but it took some time to really be able to go into an experience and appreciate just being in that experience and not looking forward, although it's good, you should have a plan, but the plan should also give you time and space and permission to just focus on where you are, the here and now, and to really be present in that moment, whatever you're doing. And then the second one, I love the sponsor idea, and I definitely need a sponsor, but also thinking through, I call it my board of mentors, and so just like an organization has a board of directors, I have a board of mentors. Mentors who help me in every aspect of my life, and so whether it be a spiritual mentor, who I really look for spiritual advice from, a career mentors, I guess I would say, but then also like parent mentors, because I'm not getting it right as a parent all the time, right? And wife, that probably is the role I fail most at. But how do you really find people who are excelling in all these different places in your life, and how can they pour into you so that you do feel fulfilled, and I'm able to at least show up in every area of my life and try to give it my best shot.
So I think a couple things. If you ask my kids, my favorite saying when I'm talking to them is, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. I think us women, at times, we just don't take enough risks. We play it safe. And I think we have to take more chances. And the other thing that I tell the people that I work with is that I'm not committed to their comfort, that I'm committed to their growth. We need to get outside of our comfort zone. There's no growth. There's no growth in your area of comfort. So you have to take opportunities when they come up, not wait for the right, the perfect moment. But again, I think, as I said earlier, you don't have to do everything at the same time. I'm reading a book right now I think it's called Two Mountains or something like that. But the premise of that book is that many of us, early in our lives, we focus a lot in our careers, and I can tell you that I've done that. We get to, we climb that mountain, we get to the top of the mountain, we realized that wasn't all there is to life, that necessarily isn't the one thing that's gonna make you happy, and it's not the only thing that success should be measured by. And the second mountain is discovering that true happiness, I'm gonna get emotional, but it comes from really serving others. And I think that's why I define my career very much right now, more about what I can do for others than what's my next position, what's the next thing in my career that I can do, because true success, I think it's defined by what we can do for the communities that we serve, for the patients that we're taking care of, for the people that we're working with. And that to me is such a true measure of success.
Awesome. And we have some time for a few questions from the audience. If anybody has some questions for the panelists, or to Gwen as well. Go ahead, please.
So what would each of you change in Spectrum Health right now to move women forward?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I think we should do, and I'll, hope Pam doesn't get, courage people, right? So Gwen said that female are get paid at a lower levels than male. So I think if we truly are committed to what we want to do for women, we need to look to see if that imbalance exists here at Spectrum Health. So I think that would be a step forward for us to take, and I think this group is a step forward. Why is we have 7 other IRGs. What took us so long, to get to a women's group when 80% of the people in our organization are females, and we have to be very supportive of each other. And again, this is not about bashing men, because I think most of my mentors in my career have been men, and we need everyone. But what are we doing to help each other be successful? How are we supporting each other's success? I think we have to think through that.
I think we could probably do a little bit better job of supporting authenticity and vulnerability. And I think the way we do that is to model it ourselves and take the risk. I feel like I make a lot more solid relationships with people in this organization when I'm just myself and not hiding behind some facade of success or whatever this is. So I think we need to model that behavior. And I think also supporting whole personhood. I grew up in the era, I'm closer to the end of my career than the beginning, and I grew up in the era where you say, leave your personal stuff at home. Well, that's not, you can't. I've tried, it's not possible. So embracing that the people that you work with and for have a whole personhood representation. And again, that's us doing that. Each of us is empowered to do that with who we associate with.
We think about this a lot in women's health as we try to support each other and our patients. I mean, there's so many different ideas that have come up, like, let's figure out childcare, let's figure out flexible work schedules, let's try to, let's hire assistants for everyone. I mean, there's an I mean, wouldn't that be great? And so at the end of the day, there's only so many resources that we have, and so we need to figure out how we can have rich, supportive, and empowering lives. And I think it does come down to sort of local leadership and local support of our teams, men and women, and being able to support each other in the best work-life balance that we can try to achieve on a regular basis. I think there's a lot of different sort of little tactics that we can do, but overall, if we can support each other in our space, all of our individual spaces, I think that can create an amplified impact for all of us.
I don't know that I've been here long enough to weigh in on this question. I usually like to wait at least 6 months before I feedback, right? I'm an epidemiologist by training, and so that side of me likes statistics and numbers. And I think that as we go further down the line, really being able to put some metrics around what we're looking at and what we're trying to do with this work to support the work that's done by our D&I team. DE&I team, thank you. At least I caught it, right? The DE&I team to really help support that vision and push it forward. I think will only help us get there even faster. And so really thinking through what is it that we want to measure, how can we measure it, looking at things like our Glint survey, looking at it from the perspective of the female, and how are we doing from an employee standpoint. I think that all of those will help really give us some strategic direction and then allow us to see how we are comparing against what we set out to do.
And I'll just add, along those same lines, I think it'll be very important for all of us to be really evidence-based and metric-based as it just becomes a group of women. And I think we have an opportunity here in Spectrum Health, like many other places don't have, as an integrated system. So we could really look at the evidence around gender-based medicine. We could really look at gender-based health. We could really look at gender-based leadership. What are the pros and cons? And really extrapolate that out into benefit. You know, we talk about if mom ain't happy, no one's happy. Well, that's not just at home. Women really are the heart and soul wherever they are, whether that's at home or in the workforce. So how do we take all of that knowledge and all those quips that we like to throw out and really test ourselves as an organization to be accountable and to test and trial some of these things? I work with Melinda on women's strategy, and I about beat my head against the table when we go, well, what do women really want? Well, why aren't we using a focus group of women? I mean, come on. You know, Priority Health, you know, how could we look at our own employee force as a pilot for programs before we take it out of the community? So all those kinds of things, I think we have the power to create business cases and metrics and test some things and put science and research behind some theory.
I think we just have an idea for our next meeting.
That's right. Okay, well, thank you all. I'm gonna oh, do we have another? Okay, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, thank you all for your time and being vulnerable and talking with all of us today. We've heard a few times, you know, this isn't about one gender versus another, men versus women. But what I am curious about, if you have any ideas for how to bring men into the conversation to the table to kind of be allies for this group.
We have one over there.
We have a start.
I mean, don't, next time you come, bring a friend, you know, to hear what the issues are. We have we've had a women in medicine group at Lakeland now for a couple of years. And it's, at this point, it's only limited to women in medicine, so physicians and advanced practitioners. What I said to them, because they were talking about, you know, you need to network and there's, you know, we don't have enough medical directors. And I said, well, why don't you invite some of the people that are making those decisions to hear what the issues are. And if those people that are making those decisions happen to be men, then we need to bring men into the group. So, you know, and don't be afraid to have those cooler conversations. Talk to your colleagues that are men about issues affecting women. I think the good news is that there's a new generation who, I'll speak, I have a 28-year-old son and a 25-year-old son, and they both said, I want to marry a woman that wants to work, you know, and we want to share that experience both at work and at home. And I think we see that in a generation. And if you see parents of girls that are now in positions of power saying, I want my daughters coming into the workplace to have a workplace that's friendly to women. So I think we're in a really good position to have men help us in this journey.
Would you like to have one last response?